You cannot continue to be just the manager of your life. At some point, you have to zoom out and start living life based on your priorities and your goals, just like a CEO would. You have to make hard decisions on what to prioritize and what to say no to. You have to start thinking long term about the things that truly matter to you and then make decisions today to actually prioritize those. As a manager, you execute on the vision given to you by your boss. But as the CEO, you cast your own vision, you set your own goals, you schedule your own priorities based on your values, your purpose, and your future goals. If you don't learn how to step intentionally into your own CEO energy, you will always be living somebody else's vision. But not anymore, my friends. It is time to become the CEO of your life. And I'm going to explain exactly how to do that right here. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Hello, friends. Gosh, so much I feel like is going on in my world. I'm just really excited though to be here with you today, getting back into like full swing. My kids just went through mid-winter break. I don't know where you are in the world or the country, but this is fairly new to us. This is only the second year that we've ever had it. I think affectionately it's called Ski Week, but I mean, I live about 3 hours away from snow, but it's still called Ski Week. It's midwinter break, and we took our family to Disneyland. So we were there for almost 5 days. The kids were like at the perfect age to be at Disneyland. It was so much fun, and there were so many great memories that we had. And I was really able to like shut down my work brain, really invest and be present with my family, which is exactly what I want for all of you, of course. And at the same time, my next cohort of Ambitious and Balanced has closed. I have my final set of women that are in this cohort. I am so excited for them. I am on fire for what they're going to get out of this program this entire year, where they are no longer going to let work consume all of their energy. They're going to have a life outside of work. They're going to be so much more present. They are literally going to gain back hours, literally hours into their week that they could spend on themselves, with their family, just getting more done, whatever it is that they want, because they are gaining back control of their time. I love it so much. I can't wait for them to start. The next cohort is going to be launching in May and then taking place over the summer. So if you want to stay up to speed, you know exactly when that next cohort opens, you're going to want to get on the wait list, because that is where you're going to be the first to know about the dates, the opening dates. When I open the doors to that, you're going to want to be on the wait list, because I always offer a little something extra special to those that are on the wait list. So I'm going to drop that in the URL for you. I'm going to drop the URL for you in the show notes. That's what I want to say. And so definitely get on that list and make sure you are staying up to speed with the developments of the next cohort. All right. Let's dive into today's topic. I just have so much energy around this today. It almost feels like it's the beginning of the year for me. I'm feeling rested. I'm feeling ready to go. I'm excited about this next cohort. I feel like it's that beginning of the year when you have that energy, like nothing's going to stop me from hitting my goals, right? It's kind of like this fire within you. I feel like I have that right now. And we're like 2 months into 2025. So if you're not feeling that right now, and you've lost sight of some of the changes, some of the goals, some of the rhythms, some of the habits, that you want for this year, like this is going to be the perfect podcast episode for you, because you're going to like draw on my energy, and I'm going to help you get right back into the swing of things, meeting all of those goals. So today we're going to talk about something that has come up in several workshops that I've given recently. You know, companies, ERGs, community groups, things like that bring me in to talk about work-life balance and effective boundary setting. And I've given a couple of talks recently that has sparked this conversation that we're going to have here today. And today we're talking about the difference between being in CEO energy and managerial energy. Okay, so this is a really important concept to understand, because you cannot, I repeat, you cannot create sustainable work-life balance if you don't know how to tap into your CEO energy. If you don't know how to vision cast and get out of the weeds of your to-do list and prioritize really effectively, all of which a CEO does, and that's you being in your CEO energy, then work-life balance is going to be impossible. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the difference between these two energies and why they're so important. And then ultimately, how do you intentionally get yourself into CEO energy when you need to and like the most crucial moments in order to do that. So I'm going to lay all of that out for you today. The first thing that I want you to understand before I even break down what I mean by these two energies is that they're both needed. That's what I really want you to understand, that I'm not saying that one is better than the other. There are times in your day that you need to be in your managerial execution energy. And then there are times in your day that you need to be in your CEO energy, right? So I want to give the little disclaimer here before I even get into this topic, because what I don't want you to be thinking as I'm explaining this to you is that somehow you're doing it wrong. Because I have this feeling that most people listening to this podcast are very tuned in to their managerial energy, right? That is dominantly where they live. It is the strongest energy for them. It is what helps them to like execute, get things done fast, and be really effective at what they do. But you also need to know how to tap into your CEO energy and when to do that and exactly how to do that so that you make really confident decisions about what to prioritize, when you need to like shift your priorities last minute, how to shut down and really be off and make decisions from a really powerful place. So let's start with talking about managerial energy. Okay. Based on this word managerial, I'm sure you can guess what this means, right? It is the energy that you have as a manager, right? And not just a manager of people, because I know not everybody here manages teams, but you do manage a family, right? You also likely manage a household, as most women do. And you do obviously manage tasks in your life, in your day. You manage lists and things like that. Your managerial energy is all about getting things done. But it's not just getting through your tasks, sort of like an individual contributor would. It's about executing your list at a really high level. It's about getting the people around you to execute at a high level, whether we're talking about your kids and you're trying to get them out the door, or you're trying to do homework, or whether it's your spouse and trying to allocate, reallocate and have strategic conversation with them about who does what in the family or who's picking up who in the family, whatever it is, right? Whether you are managing a team of people at work and you're responsible for training them and for getting them up to speed and giving them all of the knowledge in order to be successful at their job, or making sure your whole team understands their goals and the expectations, like that's when you show up as a manager, right? You know that you're in managerial energy when you're executing on your plan for the day, when you're moving through your meetings and your daily rhythms and your schedule just in the way that you expect to on a regular basis. Okay. In contrast to that, CEO energy, just like being the CEO of a company, you tap into that energy when you are vision casting, when you take a moment or sometimes several moments in the day to sort of zoom out and think overall about what you're doing. And if what you're doing makes the most sense with the time that you have, it is when you kind of prioritize your day or your week or your season, whatever it is, based on goals, based on priorities, not necessarily the things that are most urgent, but the things that are most important, right? Think about it. A CEO spends most of their time thinking about strategy and strategizing on behalf of the company. They're not thinking much about the day to day. They're thinking about the next 5 years from now and beyond that, right? Where a manager is thinking kind of microcosm, they're thinking day, week, month, maybe like quarter, something along those lines, and executing that at a really high level. A CEO is like zooming way out and thinking about how are we moving the whole herd forward, if you were, the whole company, the whole vision forward. Anytime you sit down to set goals, you're in CEO energy. Whenever you stop and ask yourself, is this the best use of my time? And you stop and you maybe even replan, that's when you're in CEO energy. Whenever you evaluate your life and your maybe even your household and how things are running and think about what's working and what's not working and then make a plan for how to fix things that are not working, that's when you're in CEO energy. Whenever you take a really big deep breath and remain calm, even in the midst of your kid having a meltdown, you're in CEO energy, right? Let me give you a couple of examples of the differences between managerial and CEO energy because a lot of my work as a coach for ambitious working moms is to help you tap into your CEO energy more, to sort of do it on demand and really get kind of cozy, if you will, with that CEO voice that's within you and kind of let her shine, right? Let her strength come out of you. So I have lots of examples to give you on this. So I had a client in the last ambitious and balanced cohort who was working on a very important time sensitive project for her company. And she was working within a team of people to get this project done. She was in fact a manager. I think she had one or two people under her. And then there was like her and a couple of colleagues who also had people that they were managing, right? And she was struggling because she didn't really agree most of the time with the way her other colleagues wanted to like execute on this project, right? She had ideas of her own that would make the project better, that would make it more efficient, that would get things done faster and things like that. And it was different from her other colleagues that she was working with. And so, as a manager, she would show up to her meetings with her colleagues on this project and really try to be a team player, just like a good manager would be, right? And then in one of our sessions, I asked her what would need to happen in order for her to stop being so frustrated in these meetings and with these colleagues and to help the whole team come to like faster consensus, right? And notice that that's a CEO question where you're evaluating what's working, what's not working, how do we get the whole team to cross the finish line faster? That's what a CEO does, right? They're identifying inefficiencies and then they're making a plan to like overcome those inefficiencies, just like in this moment for my client. So in our time together, she came up with several ideas on how to do a couple of things. One was to sort of shift her own personal mindset as she recognized that was sort of getting in the way of her being able to show up as the most effective team player, strategize at a high level, feel really good about her work and so forth. So she came up with some of those ideas on how to shift her own mindset. And then we also strategized on what it would take to move this team forward in a much more proactive way. And so by the time we left our session together, our conversation together, she left with a very different plan for how she was going to tackle the next meeting with this particular group of people, right? That was her stepping into her CEO energy, evaluating, noticing what wasn't working, making a plan to tackle it differently, just like a CEO would. Not just like show up, keep going, try to do it better the next time. No planning, no stepping back, no looking, just kind of sort of living in a land of frustration. Reactive mode. Managers spend a lot of time in reactive mode. CEOs spend a lot of time in proactive mode. There was another client in this cohort, just to give you another example, that had some challenges with her spouse, right? Her spouse kind of worked odd hours. They didn't have like a 9 to 5 job. And she was just exhausted because she was taking care of the kids and managing groceries and household needs on top of her own job. And she was just starting to build a lot of resentfulness in her outlook with her spouse. She was taking care of everything that needed to get taken care of, right? That was her and her manager energy. She wasn't letting things go, but she was exhausted and frustrated and resentful like all of the time. So in coaching, I asked her, how do you know that your spouse and you are on the same team? Okay. Think about that question. How do you know you and your spouse are on the same team? And of course, her first response was like, well, I don't even feel like we're on the same team. I feel like we're like totally opposite planets at this point. And I said, yes, I know. But I bet there are little ways, little insights that actually show that you're a united front. Like, what are some of those little ways that you can come up with that indicate that you actually are on the same team? Notice the CEO energy that is required to answer this question. Because what it forced her to do was zoom out and think about her spouse in a completely different way than she had been. It forced her to think about things that were going right together as a team instead of like really focusing on all the things that were going wrong and what they were doing wrong. And so from there, we were able to start talking more strategically about a conversation that she likely needed to have with her spouse that helped her to show up as a team where together they were focusing on the challenge of managing their household and their job and the time frame of all of these things instead of what probably would have been that conversation would have been a fight. It would have felt accusatory. Her spouse probably would have shut down because they were feeling attacked. All of the things that would have not worked out had she not stepped into her CEO energy to like plan and execute and think strategically about what she needed to do. I led a session this year for my ambitious and balanced cohort on evaluating and goal setting for the year. And I walked them through this exercise of really thinking back through their 2024, what went well, what didn't go well, what they really wanted out of 2025. And whenever you're evaluating and goal setting, that always comes from your CEO energy. And several of them actually mentioned to me how important that session was for them because it gave them really practical plan and really clear priorities. Like it cast a kind of a vision for them of what they really wanted this next year to look like and how exactly to make that happen. And had we not done any of that, they would have kind of remained in this managerial energy, thinking about their goals more like as nice to haves, or if I can get to it, instead of actually being proactive, creating a plan, putting that plan in their calendar and executing on it, like really proactive thinking. Managers tend to prioritize based on urgency, based on deadlines, based on the needs of others. CEOs prioritize based on importance. They prioritize based on end result, based on goals, right? That's why evaluation and goal setting is so important. As a last example here, I have another client that manages a really huge team of people. Like I think it's way too many people to be managing at a really effective level. And actually together we're working on how she can get her upper management to kind of resource her more and like shift her department a little bit so she doesn't manage so many people directly. But in the meantime, in an effort to be a good boss and a good manager to so many people, she's finding herself like absolutely inundated in one-on-one meetings, managerial meetings with so many people. And her weeks are just filled like from Monday morning all the way to Friday afternoon with meetings with her team, meetings to get up to speed, meetings with her teammates needing things from her. And it's really hard when you're in back-to-back meetings all of the time for you to get your work done, right? So in coaching, I am helping her step into her CEO energy where she zooms out and she starts questioning every single meeting request that comes in. Right? Do I really need to be a part of this meeting? Is there somebody else on my team that could be here instead of me? Can I simply get briefed on this and not actually have to spend 30 minutes to an hour of my time? Am I actually the decision maker or do I need to be the decision maker? Can I delegate that to someone on our team? Right? Is this the highest and best use of my time? These are all CEO like questions. And together, I actually walked her through an exercise of breaking down what I call her yes criteria for her meetings. So that when a meeting request comes in, and if it does not meet one of the criteria that she's predetermined in her yes list, then she doesn't attend it. She denies it and says no. Literally, she's gained back hours and hours of her time during her week to get her own work done, to strategize, to do things that are really important for her in her role and for like the collective team. I want you to learn how to do this on demand. I want you to learn how to get into CEO energy on demand. So how do you step in your CEO energy? How do you do this on demand? Because if you stay in managerial energy most of the time, you're essentially just going to be in reactive mode. And likely you kind of wake up in managerial energy all of the time, right? So we probably don't even need to talk about how do you get into managerial mode. We just need to talk about how you get into vision casting mode. How do you step back, kind of give yourself enough space to think bigger picture, think long term, to ask yourself the right kind of questions that helps you prioritize effectively. There are two key moments in your workday that I find that are absolutely crucial in order to create work-life balance and to be in that CEO energy. And that's the start of your workday and it's the end of your workday. Okay, if you are not strategically starting your workday and ending your workday in CEO energy, then you are leaving a whole bunch of time and energy on the table. Time that you could have otherwise spent getting more stuff done on your list, being more strategic, thinking more strategically on behalf of your team, or just spending more time with your family and being like off, right? At the beginning of your workday, you need to be spending time doing two things. One, you need to be considering your priorities for the day, writing those down, and then putting your to-do list away, right? So literally decide your priorities and so that you have a plan for your day. Additionally, and probably even more important, you actually need to be getting your mindset in order for the day, right? I know a lot of you spend time just living sort of in reaction mode, meaning that you're kind of always second guessing. There's a lot of stress. You don't feel very confident with yourself. There's kind of a lot of self-doubt. You're going back and forth. You're all this like internal questioning and anxiety. It's literally a waste of time and energy. And it literally steals away time that you could otherwise be spending more intentionally in whatever way you want it to do, right? So you need to be putting your brain in the right mental headspace to be tackling your day and the day's challenges in a really confident energy. So for my clients, I have a very specific morning exercise that takes them less than 10 minutes a day. I call it the daily work. And it's everything they need in order to get their brain in the right headspace to make the most out of their day so that they walk away from their workday feeling confident, feeling satisfied, feeling like they nailed it every single workday. So you need a morning routine that is focusing on your priorities for the day and the mindset that's going to help you execute on those really effectively. That's a CEO strategic moment. The second strategic moment for your day is going to sort of close out your day, right? It's going to close up any emotional, mental, or time energy leaks that might have happened throughout the day. So you like close those up and you don't take them home with you at the end of your workday. Because that's one of the biggest challenges I hear from working moms all of the time. Like they executed well during the day, but they get home and they're exhausted and they, are coming into another 4, 5, 6 hours of work that they have to do with just their home life, right? And they don't know how to manage that. And they feel like their family's kind of getting the leftovers of their day. We don't want any of that, right? In order to truly experience work-life balance as an ambitious working mom, you have to be crushing it at work and you have to feel like your family's getting the best of you. You have to be crushing it at home, right? That's another way of saying that. So at the end of your workday, specifically like the last 15 to 30 minutes, you should not be trying to get one more thing done on your list. I know it's really tempting to want to do that. And instead, this is an intentional CEO moment where you evaluate progress, you think about what needs to get done the next day, and then you intentionally walk away from your workday celebrating and feeling satisfied and valuable to your company. Because when you end your workday with that kind of energy and then you enter into your family life feeling like you really nailed it for the day at work and you feel really satisfied and really valuable, you are much, much, much more likely to be able to shut down, to not log back on, to not stay available, to not feel like you need to be responsive in any way, right? Your boundaries get so much easier because you don't need to prove yourself. You already feel so good about yourself and your work. Feel satisfied in what you've done. Make sense? So for my clients, I teach them what I call the work to home transition. It's a set of questions that helps you close out your day in a really powerful, powerful way. Literally, the start and the end of your workday are the most crucial moments to be in CEO energy, where you are taking control of your time, your mental space, and your emotional capacity. But there are other moments throughout your day too. Moments when your kids are having a meltdown and you don't want to lose it on them, right? You don't want to be the manager of this moment. You want to be the CEO of this moment. You want to show up as the parent that you want to be, the calm, intentional, connected parent, which can be really hard to do in such an emotion-filled moment, right? But that's a CEO moment. That's a moment where you want to step into your most powerful energy. Another important moment is when a last minute request is asked of you. Maybe it's in the form of a meeting or it's an email or a client needs something from you or something like that. Whenever something unexpected is asked of you that would require you to essentially like have to reprioritize, not do one of your priorities or log back on later to catch up or do something like that. This is the moment that you need to be the CEO of your time. Of course, sometimes these last minute requests are important enough for you to execute on, and you're going to reprioritize based on that to take that meeting request or whatever it is. But most of the time, last minute requests that come in are based on somebody else's urgency and deadlines and priorities that are not yours, right? Your colleague's panic is not enough of a reason to override your priorities. Your client's need for information is not enough of a reason for you to override your priorities, right? When a last minute request comes in, rather than saying yes automatically, something that a manager would do, you need to step back and decide, is this truly important to you? And what is your plan so it doesn't derail your priorities and your time, and particularly like your family time later that evening? The most crucial moments to be in CEO energy is the beginning of your day and the end of your day. In coaching, I give you proven techniques in order to do just that because I know how important those moments are. And then throughout your day, when big emotions rise up from your kids or from your colleagues or your boss, that is a moment to be in CEO energy so that you respond proactively. You don't get wrapped up in their emotion, right? You step back, you stand powerfully in your own energy, you don't react, you show up proactively. And similarly, when last minute requests comes in, changes come in, something that might derail your own priorities, this is another moment where you pause and you proactively decide, not reactively decide, but proactively decide if you're going to engage in that last minute request or delay it or delegate it or say no, whatever else you might do. Right now, your goal is to have a life that is not totally consumed and ruled by work. It is a life where you are living proactively, where you have clear vision, where you feel purposeful in your time, where you feel like there's intentional time set aside for you, for your family, for fun, for hobbies, for work that matters to you. And when you clearly see that as your goal and you feel committed to making that happen this year, right now, that is when you're going to be most likely to step into that CEO energy with ease. Working moms, you know how to be a manager. It's time to be the CEO. I can walk you through that process. I would love to connect with you on a one-on-one breakthrough call where we can talk about exactly what you need to show up powerfully and to make decisions for your time and your energy that is in alignment with your purpose, your values, and your goals. I can walk you through the whole process. Love to talk to you. In order to book your free breakthrough call, you can simply go to RebeccaOlsonCoaching.com/book. You're going to fill out a little prep form, a little get to know you form where I understand a little bit more about where you're at. And then you're going to be directed to my scheduler, to my calendar, where we will find a time in the next couple of weeks to connect. Working moms, I love it. You are amazing. You are powerful. You can do this. I know it. Till next week, let's get to it. Hey, working moms. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to let you know that the next cohort for my group coaching program, Ambitious and Balanced, is starting soon. If you're looking to make 2025 the year when you not only learn how to create sustainable work-life balance, but you actually put it into practice so that you and your family come first without sacrificing success at your job, then this program is for you. I'm only taking 10 women into this next cohort, and you're not going to want to miss this opportunity to get started this year. To learn more, you can head to my website, www.RebeccaOlsonCoaching.com/ambitious and balanced. This is the year where you feel successful both at work and home, and I can't wait for you to start. I'll see you next week, and until then, let's get to it.